We're here with Eric and Bruce today, and we're going to talk about the Moedim. Let's go.
Well, the Moedim shows up at first in the book of Genesis, first week of creation, and it's simply translated as seasons. He placed the stars and sun and the moon, appointed them in their positions according to their seasons. However, that word seasons is not necessarily accurately translated. It's actually the word Moedim. Mem, Vav, Ayin, Dalet would be singular. Moedi, which would mean my, Moed, and then Moedim with a plural. Yud Mem is the plural suffix, Moedim. And again, it's translated as seasons, or appointed times. That's the typical English rendition. But what we're going to talk about is that it's a whole different thing. And some people have gotten whooped up about the Jewish festivals, the Jewish holidays. And other people say, look, we don't know anything about the Jewish holidays. We were raised in the Christian culture, the Christian church, and we've got perfectly good holidays that worship the Savior of the world. Christmas, his time of birth, Easter, the time of his resurrection, and Sunday to herald the fact that he burst out of the grave after 3 days and 3 nights, triumphant over death, and showing that we too can be resurrected into eternal life. The problem is, none of those 3 events were Moedim. They're not appointed times by Yahweh, Yod-He Vav-He, the Maker, the Creator, the King of the universe. He never appointed those times. I'm going to be talking about this word Moed, and there's variations of the spelling, all of which have to do with the same root word of Ayin Dalet. For people who are studying the language, I'm not going to go into this detail, but these matters are available. We can write them up. And Hey Ayin Dalet Aleph Hey, Hey Ayin Yod Dalet, Ayin Vav Dalet, Ayin Dalet Yod, Tav Ayin Dalet, Ayin Yod Dalet Yod Tav Aleph, Ayin Dalet Vav Nun, Mem Ayin Dalet Nun Vav Tav, Samak Ayin Dalet, Zadi Ayin Dalet Hey, Bet Ayin Dalet, Bet Ayin Tav. All these we'll be discussing, but I'm not going to belabor going through this, but there's some fascinating understandings about these Moedim. We're sitting here at this exquisite inn at the top of Knowles Hill in Sonora, California, the inn at Knowles Hill. This banquet table is set expecting guests to arrive and be fed the best that could be prepared. That's the word Moed. It's a preparation having been made at an appointed time, at an appointed place, for the betrothed to appear, as previously scheduled. Arrangements were made and agreed to. The Moedim, in other terminology, is the wedding supper of the Lamb, as some people like to think of it. It's the Moedim. That's what it means. Ready for somebody to show up. I remember being at a church service once a few years ago, and the preacher was making a point, and there was a little skit of this fellow waiting at a cafe at a table all by himself. The other person never showed up. Sat there for a while, till the time of the appointment had passed and got up and left. And the preacher was making the point. Are we showing up to visit with our Father, our betrothed, the Creator of the universe at the appointed time? For 50 years in Christian home, church, and school, no one ever taught me, or at least I don't recall having been taught, maybe the fault is my own, but I was never brought to my attention to particularly notice these Moedim, but they're in Leviticus chapter 23. Now they also show up in Numbers and Deuteronomy, but the chief list, you might say, the most easiest to recognize is Leviticus 23. It does not say they're Jewish festivals. or feast days or holidays. Most people celebrate holidays. In English, it's holy day, meaning that's the day they regard as sacred to worship their God. But Christmas, Easter, and Halloween and Sunday are not the holy days of Yahweh, the creator of the universe. They were concocted by assimilating pagan, heathen cultures with Christianity at the time of the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD with Constantine at the helm of that ship. It's not true. It's not accurate. It's not right. It's not biblical. It's not scriptural. So we're going to talk about a few things here. First of all, regarding one of these Moedim. Now imagine this. It says, "You shall not do any work. It is an eternal decree throughout all your generations, in all your dwelling places." Now it seems to me that that kind of talk would include us here today, even though we're on the opposite side of the planet, 3,000 years after these words were spoken to Moshe at Mount Sinai. But he says, the next verse, he says, "Any soul who will do any work on this very day, I will destroy that soul from among its people." I remember a song, "I want to be of that number when the saints come marching in to the banquet supper of the Lamb. Swing low, sweet chariot, carrying me to the other side." And yet this says, the soul that does any work on this particular day will be cut off from among its people, not counted in. I was never taught this. Were you taught anything regarding these matters?
No. So you're saying that in the Christian tradition, we were given a set of holidays created by tradition and men, but not mandated or even addressed in Scripture from the beginning. We have a different blueprint that we're not paying attention to.
He does address them. He does address them. He says, can a man make, this is in Jeremiah, I believe, can a man make for himself Elohim? Not an Elohim. Now, the word Elohim is translated gods, but the word God is not necessarily the only accurate way to translate this word Elohim. Elohim are mighty ones. Well, the holidays are the mighty ones of the year. They're the sacred days that we have great religious observance, and we center the whole calendar factored around these days of the year. Can a man make for himself holy days, which are not ordained, positioned by the Almighty, who declares such things to be either kadosh, that's the word translated holy, which isn't a good translation, but nevertheless set apart, sacred, established as the given? Can a man create for himself things which are the fabrication of his own hands? No. They are not Elohim. And there's another verse that says those who create idols, those who carve out things, whether they're holidays or whether they're idols to worship, so it's either the thing you worship or the place you worship, you could say, he becomes as worthless as that which his hands have made. He does address it. He says, you will not have, the phrase in Hebrew is Elohim Achrim. Now it's translated two ways, gods of others or other gods. But the word Acher means that which comes later, next, strange, other, in the future, something that your fathers didn't know about. Where'd this come from? Would Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob? Would David or Solomon? Would Moses? Would Joseph have recognized the Christian traditions that we now have under the guise of being sacred days of worship? They knew nothing of them. Yahweh says, do not allow there to be, or cause there to be, or make for yourselves Elohim Achrim. And then the word is before me, or in my face, or above me. But the word is al-panei, which means yoked to, or in connection with my face. And yet those are the days we go to seek his face. It's completely Elohim Achrim. We have concocted and made false things, claiming them to be holy and sacred, which they are not. By definition, they're not, because only Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yahweh, the creator of the universe, can describe, can prescribe what to him are the designated, mandated, designed, and fixed appointed times, as he said in the first chapter of Genesis. So, this day that I read about, the word Moedim means to designate in their appointed time. There's another interesting word in this same section of Leviticus 23. He says, you will go out, verse 11, you'll go out and wave the omer to gain favor for you. To gain favor for you. That word means very serious or aggravated, favor, acceptance, will, desire, wish, be appeased for the sabbaticals, agreement or volition, acceptable, desirable. He says, you will observe this day and go out and wave a handful of cut grain, and it'll be a means of you finding favor with him. Say, wait a minute, what about the death of the Messiah? What about prayers? What about sacrificial offerings? He didn't say that. He said, cut this grain and wave it on this particular day, and that will be appeasing, balancing the scales, and finding favor. I always thought that we were told that his commandments were too difficult, impossible to keep. But here he says, cut this grain on this particular day and wave it, and you'll balance the scales and find favor. It means to satisfy the creditor, pay off the debt. I thought this was supposed to be something difficult, something hard, something impossible to keep. This is so darn easy, somebody, a paraplegic in a wheelchair, could do it. I think we've been sold a bill of goods. Furthermore, he goes on to say, you will find me when you search for me with all your soul and all your heart. That song, Heart and Soul, that comes right out of Scripture. Search for me with all your heart and all your soul. I will allow myself to be found of you. What's he hiding? That's right. There's a verse where it says he is the Elohim who hides himself. As a matter of fact, why is he hidden? There's another verse that says he has allowed us to, and then the phrase in Hebrew is disarrange his face. Like a clown? What's a clown look like? Distorted hair, nose, mouth, weird looking face. We have got the wrong face. Al Panay, connected to or in reference to my face. These Moedim are the picture of his face. So if you have a clown which is distorted or even genetically modified, you have the wrong guy or the wrong picture of the right guy. Why would he have hidden? Why would he allow us to disfigure him? How would we even know if we grew up with a certain image? How would we know if that's a clown face or really Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the creator of the universe? If we didn't see any other image, how would we know the difference? It's this word, ayin dalet. And the word, the place of the ayin dalets, or the instrument by which the ayin dalets find their being, moed. Ayin dalet as a word means witness or testimony. You put the mem in front of it, it means the instrument or the place of. So the word moed, moedim again is plural, moed, appointed time, established. It means literally the appointed place of refuge. It's the hiding place. It's the fortress to be in, to not be whacked by our enemies. It's the place of meeting. It means you will be found there if you're being, as it were, a good soldier in the position. It means that Yahweh is going to be sitting there waiting. This is the place where he's at. Like that fellow giving the sermon where there was a guy sitting at the empty table. For 50 years, I didn't know that Yahuwah was sitting at an empty table waiting for his people who love them with all their heart. They who love him with all their heart never showed up to his appointed time with them. Why? Because we were told he doesn't care about those anymore. Those are impossible instructions to the Jews. He's given us new festivals. Not true. That's a lie. This word moed means directed, intended, planned, intentional, no mistake. It means forewarned and cautioned. He gave this thing because there's a message in the Moedim. There's 7 of them, including Shabbat, the 7th day of the week. There is a message if you know how to read them, and if you don't know anything about them other than, oh, they're Jews' holidays, the Jews were the only smart enough ones to keep them all these years. We were robbed. It's a message of importance regarding your very life and your eternal destiny, though that's counter to Christian theology. The word hey, ayin, dalet, aleph-hey means testimony, deposition, to be deposed, legal status pertaining to the covenant. It means he testified, provide information by which to determine the truth. Hey, ayin, yod, dalet. So what I'm trying to say regarding the study of these words, I'm not going to go through the spelling of all these, but even if you drop yods or vavs or add heys or various prefixes and suffixes, the root of the word is legal truth. Ayin, dalet. A legal matter of determining the truth. It means to affirm solemnly, warned forcefully, constantly, continually, over and over, again and again, still, yet. You know that phrase, forever and ever. Leolam va'ed. What do you mean? If it's forever, it's forever. What is it, and ever? It's a witness. This word, and ever, is va'ed. That word, ed, is ayin dalet. It means, and how. Helped, supported, encouraged, validated. It's a picture of Moshe sitting there. And when he held up his hands and his army was winning the battle, and he got weary and put his hands down, and the army would start losing the battle, and then his friends noticed this, and so they supported up his hands. Those two witnesses supporting, those guys were ayin dalets. They helped him to corroborate the matter. Ayin dalet also means up until, while, eternity, perpetual, absolutely, which means you think this stuff has been done away with? If you think so, you don't understand the language, you don't understand the testimony, and you're reading a bogus contract. You're not regarding the words of the covenant, which endure forever according to the very words of He who is forever, and His everness is His statement of being, His essence. Ayin dalet yod means choice, best, my jewels, my ornamentation. It's also then, being his jewelry, it means booty or the precious thing taken away, removable, torn off. Now, this word for testifier, testimony, great balls of fire! You mean we've been steered in the wrong direction? Because the testifiers have been taken off, ripped off, yanked away, and false ornaments have been put on of ceremonial Christmas bulbs and Easter eggs which do not procreate? Well, as a matter of fact, false face, mutant DNA, the clown face, comes through genetically modified Moedim. If we don't have the testimony of the Moedim, we will have the wrong God, the wrong deity, the wrong Messiah, represented by the wrong Moedim. This is critical stuff. This is life and death. This is eternal matters of covenant that we're talking about here.
So you're saying, of course, that even without regarding the Hebrew roots and actual names of these words, that all of the eternal appointments were made and have never been changed. And we could have kept them if we had paid attention, if we had sought His face, and learning the language helps you understand how important that is.
Well,
and not to accept a counterfeit.
Yes, we could have, except there's a different matter. Jeremiah 16:19. We're going to fulfill prophecy here. It says, Yahweh, my strength, my stronghold, my refuge on the day of distress. Gee, anybody have any sense of distress coming upon the world these days, or any particular people groups which are terrified or in distress because other people groups are coming against them? To you, nations will come from the end of the earth and say, now remember, we're on the opposite side of the earth. We are officially at the ends of the earth compared to Israel. And this is what they're going to say some remote day in the future from when this is written. This is Jeremiah. And I'm going to officially say it. This is the script He gave us to say. This is a prophecy. Somebody's going to come and say these words. I am now officially saying these words, fulfilling prophecy. It was all falsehood that our ancestors inherited. Futility that has no purpose. Can a man make Elohim for himself? They are not Elohim. Here's the script. We just did it. These are those days. In other words, we couldn't do what he said because we inherited lies. We were lied to. And he allowed the truth to be ripped off as much as you'd castrate a steer. YHUH. Now people say, well, gee, why did they make a golden calf? The aleph, the first letter of the alphabet, is an ox, this strong bull. It's not him, just the quality attributes of the ox represent him. And when you make a steer out of the bull, that's even more not him, but that's what we've been had. We were steered in the wrong direction with fake holidays. Point is, how do I know this is true? Because the word tav, ayin dalet, means to be documented, attested to, certificate, and it's also the word meaning mission, purpose, and certified. Having a mission is the meaning of the word aleph. It's the whole shoot and match what it's all about. Testimony, as in 10 devarim, the 7 Moedim. The word 7 is shavah shin bet ayin. It means to swear a vow. And the curses which come upon you for breaking the vow is the number 7, the word 7. The word 7 means vow. And to be under the imprecations of the oath, which is to say, you break this vow and you get these curses. That's in Leviticus 26, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Ayin dalet yod nun means enduring. It's also, ayin dalet yod tav, the choicest soil. Now think about this. Talking about the steer and the genetic. The choicest soil where to grow seed. The seed carries the DNA. The choicest soil has the perfect conditions to sprout. So this word for sprout is either a picture in Paleo of the Zadi or the Nun. The Nun is number 50, Shavuot, Pentecost, counting. Mem, being pregnant, counting for 40. Mem is 40 weeks. Nun is 50, the Jubilee, the breakthrough, the birthing. To be of conception or pregnancy is the same exact word for Hebrew. Not only is it ayin dalet, vav yod, but it's also ayin bet resh, Hebrew. The word for Hebrew means to be pregnant. How do you get pregnant? Gee, you ask for the seed to come into your inner being. Where do you think they came up with this phrase, ask Jesus into your heart? You know that's nowhere in the Bible. Not even anywhere in the New Testament. Ask Jesus into your heart and you get to be saved. It's not Scripture. It's tradition.
Right.
But if you want to ask for his seed into your heart, you ask for his genetic encapsulated in a seed. His genetic encapsulated is in the Moedim. That's the ayin dalets. You take that in, see again, the word ayin dalet, tav, yod, vav, tav is communal or segregation or a very distinct group. Ayin dalet, to count, reckon, regard, consider, or prepare yourself. Be prepared. As the bride prepared herself, as this table is prepared, waiting. Ayin dalet. And remember, there's that famous parable where 10 virgins, bridesmaids, are waiting to go in. 5 were prepared and 5 were not. And the 5 weren't prepared, so they had to go get ready. And he came and they missed out. This is serious business. This is very serious business. The word ayin dalet hey, ayin dalet aleph, a group assembled together by appointment. The group of Moedim have been assembled together by appointment. Shem Zakar, the memorial name, the ceremonial remembrance, also is the word masculine or a group of men, or a little unit of masculinity, as it were a delegation of soldiers. Well, if you look at the male unit, it's the same word. Yod He Vav He is the Shem Zakar. And it's got a man-like connecting device with 2 testifiers supporting or corroborating the evidence. So Yod He Vav He, the name, is this business. It means, the word Zakar, to affix in one mind, to prick, to pierce. It's the Vav man. So to call the Messiah the Vav man is saying he is the connecting device, or that one which hooks it all together, making us one, echad, with him. The word ayin dalet vav nun means refinement, luxury, sublime. Let this spread, awaiting that meal and the fellowship of the people here. It's where we get the word Eden. Ayin dalet nun, where we get the word hedonism, which is everything has to be great. It means make tender, delicate, pleasant, sensitive, just like the masculine apparatus of the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. It means he enjoyed himself, delighted, luxuriated. It's the word for the Garden of Eden. Garden meaning well watered throughout. It's a time and a period, or a period of time, or periodic. Periodic, well now you're thinking we're talking about male design, now we're talking female design. As a matter of fact, the ayin dalet is the testimony, literally that's what it means, the testimony or that which is used to determine if the woman is fit or suitable in the right condition to engage in mating. You have an appointment with Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh? You want to be at the marriage supper of the Lamb? If you don't got the ayin dalet, you ain't going to be there.
So are we talking about putting yourself in a position, a person who wants to follow the words and the testimony of the Creator, and He gives us a set of conditions, places and times to be, and conditions to be in for a transfer of something
His seed,
from Him to us.
which Yeshua said is His word. It was all in parable form. The seed is the word. And the fertile soil that opens up to receive the seed is taking His words, His debar, His devarim, the matters that contain His DNA into our innermost beings. We have hearts of stone and wouldn't receive it. He says, remove the foreskin of your hearts and He will give us a heart of flesh to receive. And then our job as a woman being pregnant who nurtures and conditions the developing of that embryo within her, we're supposed to do that with the seed put within us. And there's this other discussion we had before in another matter, but it's not that you're birthing this other being, this other baby within you that then goes on to live its own life, leaving you behind as the parent, but somehow, and there's this mysterious thing going on, that which grows this within us, which then births unto some other life, it's us! We're going to become that thing which is grown within us. Us right now, male or female, are actually the incubation chamber for the eternal us as we regard and nurture with warm affection the developing of that seed. That's the us of eternity that it becomes. This has far-reaching ramifications. The point is, we're talking about the Garden of Eden. Now let's look at the word garden. It's spelled Gimel Nun.
As a side note, Eric, the gestation period for humans is actually precise on the feast.
There's a fellow who did a write-up of that, and the development of a child, it's incredible. I think it was Zola Levitt that did that.
It is Zola Levitt, yeah. It was
that.
just exactly what you're referring to here.
It perfectly synchronized the development of the hears, of the everything.
That's right.
The word garden is Gimel Nun. Our letter G and then N. Of course, in Hebrew it's read right to left. Gan. Gan, Egan. Like Oregon, the word Ori means light, or to be filled with light, or my light, and Gan is garden. So garden of light is the word Oregon, for example. Garden literally means the time and place of relationship, protection, surrounded, embraced. This room here. Mem Vav Gimel Nun, Mogan. Now the reason I'm showing you this is not only for the Garden of Eden, but remember the Mem Vav ayin dalet, Moed, is not a different word than ayin dalet, because Mem Vav Gimel Nun means it is protected and defended. What's Gimel Nun? The place which is defended and protected. So it's the concept of the state of being protected and defended. So I'm trying to show you a little bit here about the structure of the Hebrew language, that if you know prefixes and suffixes and other letters that you can drop in, it doesn't change the root verb. And that might throw people who don't know Hebrew, but I'm trying to show you, you recognize the meaning of the letters and you understand the message contained in every word. Mem Vav Gimel Nun meaning is protected and defended. The word Hey Vav Gimel Nun means was protected or defended. Sounds like the word Hogan, like Hogan's Heroes, you know, he was protecting and defending TV show. In Portland, there's this word called Hagen's Market. Well, the word Hagen, Hey Gimel Nun, means to be noble, worthy, best of its kind, proper, and suitability. It's the same word. What a name for a market. The Haganah, Hey Gimel Nun Hey, is the defense forces. So Hey Gimel Nun Tav Yod means a defensive back, like a linebacker, that which is defending the backside of the line on the defensive side of playing football. Mogen, mem gimel nun. Again, mem meaning the instrument or the place of protection is the word for shield. Mogen David, David's shield, Solomon's shield. Instrument of protection. There's numerous verses where it says the Shem Yahuwah. The Shem, Yod He Vav He. The word in Paleo. Yod, He, Vav, He. This Shem is our shield, our fortress, our high tower, inaccessibly high that nobody can reach. This is where we are protected. And you could say, the name. Well, we better memorize that name. No, wait a minute. The word Shem means fame, renown, reputation, and the occupation of all your personal concerns. It's not just a phonetic soundbite. Where is his Shem? The Moedim. He did not design Christmas, Easter, Halloween, and Sunday. He designed the 7 Moedim and the Shabbat of Leviticus 23. His particular appointed witnesses and testifiers. If we don't know what the Moedim are, we cannot regard and keep or pay attention to or have a heart towards them. And sorry, we got the wrong God. This is a matter of having the wrong God. We have a clown face instead of the face, the peneh of Yod He Vav He, Yahuwah, Elohim Zavot, Kana, Shemayim Ve'Haaretz, maker of the heavens and the earth, establishing even the stars to bear the testimony of his identity. And even the stars are placed according to the Moedim. Fortifications, Mem Gimel Nun Nun, Maganan. Defensive war, Mem Gimel Nun Nun He. But the same word, Mem Gimel Nun He, means disgrace, trouble, sorrow, grief, indecent. The same place, the Garden of Eden, that was refinement and luxury, is the same place that Adam and Eve, found sorrow, grief, trouble, disgrace, and because of their indecency, not keeping his instructions, they hid themselves with fig leaves, hiding their adornment, their bejeweling with, same word. The word fig, as in fig tree, means excuses. They had excuses to hide their shame, did no good. Gimel Nun Yod means pertaining to the garden. The word kindergarten is the place where children are protected. The word Gimel Nun, Yod Mem. Ganinim is the word for tantrum or an abortion consisting of fleshly matter. So, the same word for gardener and horticulture and kindergarten teacher. So, the best place, Garden of Eden, the best place of noble, worthy, luxurious, where children are given the means of defense, nurtured by their instructor to receive his grace. The word grace, chet nun, literally means like the encampment. This table, this is a picture of grace. The keepers of this inn have prepared this table, prepared the meal, invited and are waiting, lit the candles, and they're waiting. Are we going to show up? Were we even told? No, what we had was enemies say, I think you changed your mind. The food's no good anyway. You'll probably get sick if you eat. I tell you what, we're going to make it illegal and we're going to command that you work this day and not be available to sit at that table. Or else you're going to lose your job. Why? Because they know that our strength and our protection is eating the food at this table. We've been really sneaky duped. As the devil did it, I'll bet you. No, it's Yahweh that did it. He said, you refuse my words. You don't want to listen to me. You betray my covenant with treachery. Very well, you can have what you desire. Lied to by your enemies, given counterfeit deceits, which are not profitable, and you'll miss out generation after generation. You'll miss out on the entire spread that I had for you, which is not just an eternal promise unto the eternal heavenly realm, but it's an eternal, ongoing, continuing promise for this time and space, this realm, this day and age, for you and me, right here and now. But yet we've been robbed. It was taken away, lied to. The point is, the same place to receive his grace is the place of shame, disgrace, denunciation, the place where one makes himself repulsive, vile, unprotected, and aborted. by keeping the wrong festivals, holidays, not keeping his Moedim, we become an abortion. We become disgusting. We become unprotected. And yet the word hey Dalet means protest. We're not going there. No, these days are sacred to me. I love these days. They're my traditions. My family gets together. What's in this soup bowl? Is it borscht? No, it's just not his food. Yod Ayin Vav Dalet is promise, destiny, appointment, assigned, bound to be there. And you might hear these words, well done, good and faithful servant. Why faithful servant? Because this word moed is the place and time that the faithful servant will be found waiting, ready, and vigilant, as he said. As a matter of fact, the word Yod Ayin Dalet means fixed place, summoned, arranged, invited, destination, objective, target, taking aim, tuner, regulated, adjusted. The word for canon is the same word for Cohen, which is priest. The priests, the pastors, the teachers of the Bible are supposed to be telling us about this stuff, and they have failed their commission. Lied. I even heard a pastor said to a friend of mine, "Oh, what do you want me to do, lose my job?" Darn right. The word Yod Ayin Vav Dalet Hey means fiancé and betrothed. You think that you're the bride of the Messiah and you're not aware of these matters? Well, now there's time to be aware. As a matter of fact, the word Mem Ayin Dalet means slip, totter, stumbling, falling. Mem Ayin Dalet Nun means dainty, delight, delicacy, refined and graceful. Picture of a maiden girl in her beauty. It's the exact same word as bond, fetters, chains, heavy, disgraced, slavery. Mem Ayin Dalet Nun Vav Tav, willingly, with delight, or bound and dragged with chains. Same word. Mem Ayin Vav Dalet Dalet, encouraged, encouraging. This is the place we find our strength and encouragement and meet with Him. Samik Ayin Dalet, support, sustain, uphold, assist, fed, feasting, meal, nursing care. He's the vine, we're the branches, the menorah. Sadi Ayin Dalet, step, march, pace. This is the way you do it, like a John Philip Sousa marching music, but it's also ankle bracelet and jingles. It's also the word for change measured in one small step. We're coming into the end here. This is not about going back under the law, away from grace. This is about disqualifying yourself from the condition of being workers of iniquity, where Yeshua said, "Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you." That word to know is Dalet Ayin. It's translated where Yahweh says, "I have loved Abraham," because he taught his children. That same word know is loved. And it has to do with revealing himself. The word nu dati, where Yahweh says, "I have revealed myself," is I have made myself known. He is made known in the Moedim. There's other things we can say about this. But remember, we can't see Him, we can't hear Him if we don't choose to. And He said in numerous places, "Because I spoke, but you did not listen, He has turned us over to our enemies and the destruction of our lands."
I think it's time for a scone and some coffee. How about you?
Stone and coffee. That's just the
The story's not over.
So it would be fair to say that we have not seen His face because we have listened or we have been taught a clown face, painted a clown face and given counterfeits. But if we would flip the coin over, instead of disgrace, we can find favor. If we will see Him as He is, keep times He appointed, regard what He is and what He has told us to do as important, and not what we have maybe been taught by men's ruined traditions, we can put ourselves in a position of being in contract and protected. And you painted a picture of intimacy that reminds us of the bride and her husband.
It's exactly that.
And the provision and protection we could look forward to if we're putting ourselves in the right place.
Absolutely. Of course, that's the word I endowed it as well. Terry?
Well,
Thank you.
a stork knows its appointed times, but my people, huh?
That's another verse. My people have no clue who I am. Even the stork knows its appointed times, but we don't. The Moedim.
Eric, Bruce, this was awesome. We're going to wrap this one up.
Shalom.
Shalom.
See you there.